What's up, friends? How's everyone doing today? What's a poppin'? What's a poppin'? What's a poppin'? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We've done something like this on my other channel, but this one is going to be specific to Hypergryph related content. In about 30 minutes, we're going to be bringing Viper on to discuss Arknights Endfield. Yeah, we're going to be bringing Viper on to discuss Arknights Endfield. The things we like about it, things we don't like about it, things we want them to change, want them to fix. We're going to be just talking about the game. If you guys are familiar with my other channel, I have a thing that I do called Gacha Talk, where we just usually talk about brand new gacha games that are coming out. I'm taking that over to this channel, but we're calling it GryphCast. This is where we're going to be discussing things that are happening with Hypergryph or Gryphline, and we're going to be talking about Arknights Endfield today, but usually this will be for talking about any game that Hypergryph has coming out. Arknights Endfield, Ex-Astris, Papacom, or any other projects that they end up having in the future. But today, we're only going to be talking about Arknights Endfield, since that's the thing that's made waves globally. Of course, it's received a little bit of mixed reception on the global market, not as hype as the Chinese audience is taking it. Yeah, he just confirmed he'll be here and he'll be ready in 30 minutes. So, yeah, for the beginning of this, we're just going to be playing Arknights Endfield. You guys can just rock with me for a little bit. And in 30 minutes, when Viper is ready to hop on, we can start talking about the game. So, anyway, how you guys doing today? What's going on? What's litty? How you guys liking? Viper's currently scamming his viewers. His viewer pulls as expected. Hey, let him do his thing. Let him do his thing. His people are accepting the scams. Okay, his people are accepting the scams. I didn't pull yet. I'm gonna do it live.
This way. I don't know how deep this goes. Be careful and don't fall off.
I wonder what's the cause of this blight disaster.
The anchor can be seen from your location.
Wow, I saw it too. Can you actually see that far from our devices, Fiona?
Can you see the building on top of the hill over there?
That's the power plant. We saw it at the Valley Pass.
Based on the clues we've gathered along the way, that place may very well be the source of this blight disaster.
I hope the people there are all right.
There are a few intersections nearby, and I picked up energy readings in all of them. You don't have to explore everything, though.
We'll take a look, if we have the time.
Can I please? Jeez, can I please? Thank you. It's not action enough for global players, is what I've noticed. Yeah, I've been reading some of the things that people have been saying, and I'm gonna just say it the way that I'm thinking it, and I don't mean any offense to it, because it is gonna be taken that way, but people just want this game to be Genshin Impact or PGR, pretty much. That is what I'm seeing. People are complaining about it not being action enough. People are complaining about it not being bright enough. Not every game has to be action-paced or bright. and perfect example of this, which I find really really stupid, is I've noticed a lot of... Remember when everyone was saying turn-based games are dead? There's no market for turn-based games anymore. And then Persona comes out and everybody's on Persona's dick. Like, it's that all over again. It has to be one specific thing, or it's going to fail. Until they see it not failing, and then they want to pretend like they never said that the game is like there's no market for that type of thing. I'll give you another good example. There's a game called Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm pretty sure some of you guys are very familiar with it. Xenoblade Chronicles is a semi-action based RPG. A wonderful, wonderful game, right? That game is not action based to the degree of like a Punishing Gray Raven or a Genshin Impact. That game was well received. The second one, not so much because of its art direction. But the first one and the third one, really well received. We don't need games like Genshin or PGR for them to be good. And if guys really want that, you have Genshin Impact or PGR. You don't have to search for another of the same game that you're already playing. So that's my take on it. I'm gonna share that same take as with Viper when he hops on and see what he thinks. And what really makes me say stuff like this is because if we were just playing the same game over and over again, there'll be no point in making new games. People want many of the same thing for some reason, and it's brain dead.
Supply point. Better mark it down. We better keep this thing safe and sound.
And anyone, how many people saw Tectone's reaction to my review of Endfield from my other channel?
I wonder what surprises may be hidden here.
He started super fucking biased, and by the end of it, I was able to convince him that there's reason to be excited in this game. He was open-minded as fuck. And that made me so happy, dude. Because if Tectone can give a game like this a try by just being... Of course, he has a certain thing that he looks for, too. But if I can open some people's eyes that they don't have to all like the same thing... Damn it. I feel like the gacha market would be so much better. So much better. Because let's be frank here. The reason why we got so many gacha games that are coming out that are just dying is because people are just trying to make the same thing over and over again. There's already that thing, and it's already working. We don't need 6 or 7 more of that thing. What we need is something new for more companies to make take risks and make good games. Gacha games right now are still viewed as not being actual games. You know how you change that opinion? You make actual games and you make people want to fucking play them. That is how you win. Before Genshin Impact, everyone was dogging on Genshin Impact the same way. The way you win, you show them better than you can tell them. You make a good game. Nope, not right now. Nope, 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 nope.
Search might get you something interesting. You decide, Endministrator.
I don't have any. Make relink?
It's all very useful.
I don't know what you mean by that. Do you think Endfield could break out into the mainstream? You want my honest opinion of that?
A thorough search might get you something interesting.
No, and I don't want it to.
Decide, Endministrator.
No, and I don't want it to. Do I want it to have a massive player base? Absolutely. Do I want it to be mainstream? Absolutely not. What's the difference? I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, but I don't have a nice way to say it. The small percentage of the Genshin community that's straight up ass that nobody wants to fuck with. That's what happens when you make a game mainstream. You get brain dead. You get brain dead followers that don't take any criticism, and then the game turns into shit because there's no, hey, the game isn't.
Thorough search might get you something.
The game isn't what we want,
You decide,
and or so the game is exactly what we want, and we can't give that game any criticism. We can't share the things that need to be fixed, the things that have to change. Genshin Impact is on a downward spiral. That is my opinion of that game. It is on a downward spiral. It is still on top right now, but there are so many better games coming out. And the only way that's going to change is when Hoyoverse realizes they need to cater to more than just one audience.
Thunderstruck! Meet your end.
Okay, so ults don't break it, but the normal skills do. I don't like that. Because you can't really do anything about that if that's the case. That's weird. Okay. I didn't realize that from the last test. People want Wuthering Waves to be Genshin, which is hilarious. You want me to tell you what I think is going to happen? And this is going to be the biggest bait and switch if I'm right. I think Kuro is catering to them for now. Hey, we're going to make things a little brighter. Okay, yeah, we can change things up. And what they're really doing is luring them in so they can try the game. And then they're going back to their normal formula.
Resource site marked.
I really hope that's what they're doing. As much flack as I give Kuro for Wuthering Waves, they have this
Okay.
I'm choosing my words very carefully. They have this potential. Kuro Games has this opportunity. While Genshin is coming down, they could be going up. And the only way, of course, Genshin is always going to be the gacha game, the one that put everything on the map, right? But I'm going to be honest with you. Kuro Games has one shot. Has one shot to shake this up and take that spot. And the only way that they could possibly do that is make a better product. Don't just copy Genshin. Don't just make another Genshin Impact. Make something different that shows the what Genshin could have been, and that it's too late. You're here. It has one opportunity. If they don't capitalize on that, Genshin's gonna remain the front runner. There's nothing else that's going to take that spot. How's Girls Frontline 2 now? It's still great. It's just I'm waiting for global. It's too strategic for me to be playing a Chinese version. And I'm not going to be looking at spreadsheets and guides on how to complete shit. Like, that's just not me. So that's my take on Wuthering Waves and Genshin and Arknights Endfield. I do feel like these games each have their own lane that they could be in, but Wuthering Waves has this opportunity that is being missed. I'm not gonna say that because the game's not out yet. I feel it's going to be missed. Do you think Gryphline Hyper? No, because, and I'm gonna tell you why. Gryphline is taking a completely different route. And I want you to think about this when I say it. Don't just disagree with me. Think about the moves that they're making. Gryphline has this specific route that they're going with their games. They have a gacha game, their premier gacha game, the one that they've been working on, Arknights Endfield. They have a single player premium game for mobile that's coming out. You pay one price, and then the only thing you got to pay for after that is the DLC. Coming out for Android and iOS. And then they have Papacom, which is a console multiplayer platformer, right? I think what Hypergryph and Gryphline is doing is they're trying to be the company that makes everything. And they're trying to make quality everything. So when they make quality everything, it doesn't matter what they make, you're going to trust that everything that they're making. For example, if they release Ex-Astris and it ends up becoming one of the best single player turn-based RPGs, because from the gameplay we saw, it ain't just a normal turn-based RPG, it has a little bit of action in it too. If they manage to do this and the game ends up being really good, okay, that's one product that was completely left field that no one expected was going to be good, and people enjoy it. Okay, so now we're waiting for Arknights Endfield because we know Ex-Astris is coming first. Now there's Arknights Endfield, right? Arknights Endfield comes out. That game, I'm once again, I don't know if this is going to be a success, but if it does, and everybody ends up enjoying the story, the gameplay, everything about it, you have two products that people enjoy. And then Papacom comes out. While I have my doubts, let's say the kids enjoy that shit. You have three games that were completely different from each other, only one of them being gacha, and they managed to succeed. You know what happens after that? They're in the perfect situation to make anything that they want. Anything that they want, and people will trust it. That's success. So no, I don't think Gryphline has, let me use your words, has the opportunity to knock out the competition. You want to know why? Because they have no competition. They're in a lane of their own. They're doing their own thing. They could give two fucks about what Genshin Impact is doing, Wuthering Waves is doing. They are in their own spot. And now it's up to them to make sure that this thing succeeds. This little experiment, this chance that they're taking on making various different type of products.
Resource site found.
And you know what? I'm banking on its success. Which is why this channel is here.
Careful.
I am banking on their success.
Stroll through places like this.
These blight growths are no longer active. It should be safe to walk on them. But local structures can be quite unstable, and residual energy might be harmful. Don't dally for too long.
I forget how to get back up here. I might just have to fall. Fuck it. Yeah.
Let's do things this way.
I mean, just think about that, right? Think about the opportunity for them to just be able to make anything that they want. I can even see them, and this is like back in my head trying to figure out how they would do this, but I could see it happening. I could see them taking some of the Arknights IP and going, we want to make a hero shooter, like an Overwatch. We want to make a hero shooter. We can do that. Let's do that. Just because we want to. Arknights characters in a hero shooter environment. That'd be gas, man. Like, just think, these are the doors that they're opening up to use these IPs for anything that they want. Am I coping a little bit? Absolutely. But does it sound too far-fetched with the shit that they're doing? A fighting game? Dude, that'd be crazy. I love that Hypergryph doesn't cater to only gacha. Yeah, they have like these specific things in place. I just noticed something about Avi's animation that looks out of place, and it's now going to bother me up until it's fixed. Let me write that down. I'm not going to tell you because it's cursed. Is it going to do it here too? Come on, Avi. You did it like 6 times in a row. Yep. All right. That is going to bother me every single time.
Resource site found.
I don't see it at all. Yeah, you're yeah. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. It's cursed. All right, so I think it's safe to reach out to Viper. Oh, guys, yeah, I've expanded my base again. I just got one more before it's finished. And then we can really, like, break this down and optimize it the way it should be. Test goes until which date? The test ends, I want to say it's the 31st, but let me check. On the 21st. I'll be done with it by then. I'm taking a slow pace, but I'm already almost done with it. '21st is your birthday? Hey, make sure you slide on through and... Oh, he said 1 minute. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and quickly, once again, we got 107 people in here in this time, so I'm going to reintroduce what we're about to do here. On my other channel, my main channel where I share a lot of gacha games with everyone, I do this thing called Gacha Talk, where I pretty much discuss hype new gacha games with other content creators, and we share our thoughts on them and try to give feedback on what we've seen so far and all that stuff, right? So on this channel, I want to take that same format, and I want to just use it to only discuss things that Hypergryph is doing and games that are coming out. So what we're going to be doing here today is we're going to be inviting Viper on as the first guest for GryphCast, and we're going to be talking about Arknights Endfield, what we think about it, what we like, what we don't like, things that we'd like to get fixed, things that we hope that they do, and we're going to cope a little bit. So it's just an open discussion with free criticism to provide necessary feedback, assuming that they watch this, right? I'm definitely going to send it to Gryphline, and they get two completely different content creators' perspective on various things that we've experienced within the test. Me being someone who reads a lot of the story and enjoy the game in its entirety, Viper is more of a gameplay person. He just wants to see some really good gameplay within these things. So I'm hoping that this could turn into something that's very helpful to the developers. You guys can chime in here in the comment section whether I'm reading it or not. All of the entire chat is going to be saved onto this so that if they watch it, they can read through what you guys are saying. So Viper's ready. We're going to go ahead and invite him on. And yeah. If he notices I'm calling him, because he most likely has this thing on where you can't see.
Understood.
If you're in his chat, tell him, please. He'll join in a second. There he
Hello.
goes. Yeah. What's up?
What the? Sorry. Wait. Can I ask you real quick? What's your Twitch username again? I'm trying to.
I'm not on Twitch.
Oh yeah, you're not on Twitch.
Yeah, I have a second channel that's only for Hypergryph Gryphline stuff.
Oh okay. Okay, that's fine then. I'll just tag your YouTube line.
Yeah, I'm
that
sending
works.
you the link.
Okay. Okay. Oh sweet. I don't know how I can link a thing in my title to that, but
Are you doing this on your? You just put it in your chat. What?
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. You're right. All right. Yeah. I'll link it in my chat as well. Channel. All right. I am ready. Sorry about that. I don't know if you knew about. I was doing Arknights polls before this.
Yeah, scamming your viewers is what everyone was telling me.
Yeah. No. Honestly, today's stream was very cursed.
Very Oh,
It
you
was very, very
did you
cursed.
did you get them at least? Oh no.
Well, for a lot of people, we ended up getting them.
Are you
but
doing viewer polls and you're scamming them with your viewer polls?
Well. The
Oh,
unfortunate
no.
truth is, I've been doing this for like over a year. I've just been completely destroying people's accounts. Shamelessly.
Damn. Yeah. Just.
I mean, okay. They ask for it, all right. They love it for some reason. And then the viewers are all kind of like, oh, I want to see them suffer.
The hell?
But I do feel pretty bad. No, I do feel pretty bad though. I do feel pretty bad when it goes awry. Anyways, Arknights Endfield.
Yeah.
Podcast conversation. Okay.
Yeah, so basically we're just doing what we did on the last time, but now we both have experience with the game.
Yep.
So the way that I explained this to people watching was that me and you have different expectations for the game, and it's good to come together and talk about these things and kind of share what we are expecting or what we want changed, things we like, things we don't like, and yeah, we just pretty much just talk about our experience with the game. Of course, I haven't completed the global version. I'm taking my time with it since I've already completed the CN one. I already know what's basically happening. So, yeah. So far, I think you've completed the boss, right?
I did complete the boss yesterday.
Okay, don't tell me yet.
Okay.
As the entire package, right? After playing the entire thing, I know it took a little bit longer for it to dawn on you and enjoy it as an entire package. What are you thinking now? Don't tell me about the boss alone. I'm going to ask you that question in a bit. But tell me what you think is the entire package for the game. Things that you liked, things that you didn't like, things that you want to change, and your biggest criticism for the game so far. Go.
Oh man, that's a loaded question, man.
Hey, it's your floor, bro.
Okay. Let me think. How do we set the foundation for this? Okay, I'll take it from this angle first. First,
Okay.
I'll talk about, I guess, what my first like going into it, before the test and the first few hours of playing the test, and then I'll talk about what I feel now, because I think that will be important information.
Okay.
I think like the first few hours that I was playing the game, and of course before we're getting all hyped up about the game, right? The hype is over the roof. You know how much I was excited for this game. The first few hours were like incredibly underwhelming, and I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's because I was streaming it, so like part of streaming you kind of like keep the hype with the chat, and you're not really too focused on the game and stuff. You're not able to relax and take it easy. So maybe that could have been why. But I felt like the first like 2-3 hours I played it on stream, that I was kind of rushing through the story. It didn't feel that fulfilling. And I think the reason why was because I was simply doing everything that other semi-open world games already did, which is just run around, get chests, MSQ, talk to NPCs, fight a mini-boss here and there, done. It wasn't until after that stream that I spent a little extra time. I kind of just committed to the system. I learned the entire base, and that's when everything started to make sense. And then for the rest of the time I played the game, for the next 20 hours, 20 to 25 hours, it was incredible.
Did you do it in one sitting? Holy shit.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Across different days, but every single day I was excited to play the game, which that hasn't happened with me for a very long time. Like, I don't know, I've been telling my chat that with a lot of other mobile games that have come out recently, like even like Snowbreak with Reverse 1999, you know, every one of these games kind of follow the same formula. You kind of do the same old thing. They might have their own quirks, but then it's all just complete the story.
Right.
In the next like 20 hours, you're just like pressing the same buttons, doing the same kind of mechanics over and over again. The bosses get harder, the mechanics might get a little harder, but it's so linear. But in this game, the next 20 hours that I was progressing through the story to the very end felt very new. Every single zone I went to was very good. So before I get into all the details, overall, I am really, really impressed with what Hypergryph gave us as this test. I'm coming out of this even more impressed than what I knew about the game going in, which was already a lot. Like going in, I was like, oh my god, this is very good. I'm very excited. Coming out of this, even better. And I have very, very high hopes that Lowlight and Hypergryph continue to take this in the direction that people wanted.
Okay. So the other day after your live stream when you had Box on, right? Mm-hmm. I called you and I asked you what you were thinking about it because it sounded like you were very disappointed. And
okay.
Do you feel the same feeling you felt that day, or is this the moment where you're kind of seeing the light a little bit, and exactly why I've been excited telling you in the conversations, or what's different from that day to this day?
Yeah, man. So okay, I'll have to dive in a little because there's one thing that sold me on the game.
Okay.
More than anything else, and for me, I did not get to that point when I was talking with the Box, because when I spoke with Box, it was really just after the first main boss, and so we barely saw anything. But I know a lot of people coming in are going to be talking about the combat. People are going to be talking about the base building, but neither of those were actually the number one thing that sold me on the entire process. What actually sold me was the exploration. So
the exploration.
I actually loved connecting the electricity across different zones with the pylons and then building on top of that. You know, building refineries near to where the pylons are, building the zip lines so you can get to places efficiently, like the rifts efficiently. I thought that was just fucking incredible. Like I would have never expected myself to enjoy that. All of that is, connected to the base building in a way, right? It's kind of like part of the tree.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
But it's not exactly like, it's like not exactly the base building, which very much surprised me because I thought base building was just you build stuff in the base. You know, you might gather some resources and then you just take it to the base and you build. But the exploration overlaid the base building on top of that, and it was incredible. It just clicked with me so well.
Yeah, the one thing that always I understand when people are watching my review of the first CBT or the technical test and the CN technical test, and they're like, nah, we don't see it. And it's always when people like dive into it a little bit more. I've seen a few content creators do this. At first, they're just like, nah, I don't see it. And there's another content creator that I never seen before. He was so negative about the game, and I was like, damn, I guess this ain't for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not gonna out him like that, but
yeah, sure,
but yeah, he was like yeah, this ain't for me. He finished it. Something compelled him to finish the whole thing, and at the end of it, he's like, sold, and I was like, damn, that's two of them. I got two of them.
Wait, that's very. Okay, did you feel that way at all?
Yes.
Going through the game the first time?
At first, okay, so because I wasn't reading the story at the very beginning, right? I was on the hype train at the very beginning of, okay, this is a brand new Arknights game. And at first, I was hyped, but I was slowly getting a little bit more, what's the word? I wasn't seeing what the developers were seeing. I didn't see how this was going to be the next big thing. And I think I've come to this realization that they're not trying to create the next big thing. I think what they're trying to do is just do something different that people can enjoy. They're not trying to be Genshin. They're not trying to be Wuthering Waves. They're not trying to be PGR. They're not trying to be Honkai. What they're trying to do is create a good game. And after playing the entire thing, it was that final boss fight that connected the dots for me, because I already liked the base building. I had spent like majority of the last test. I said I spent like 60 something hours on just the not just the base building, but the entire package. Probably 20 hours, 30 hours of that was just in the base. And yeah. And after I had finished that final boss fight, it all made sense to me. It was like all of that work that I just did, connecting all of that stuff, building up the different areas, learning how to make specific materials, farming for specific things. And in this test, I just learned that you can craft experience. I didn't know you could do that in the CN test. So it's like you're working towards this ultimate goal. And when you finally get to the point where you're completing that goal, it's just rewarding.
So I absolutely agree, and I think like what I call this like the mid game in a way, because as you're ramping up to the very end, it's just such a good experience. But isn't it worrying that the first like 1 to 2 hours of the game where it should most compel you, like that's like the weakest point?
I think
that's worrisome, right?
I know what they're doing, but I don't like the execution. I feel like that's the part that needs to be fixed the most.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
The very beginning of the game. Okay, people aren't gonna like this, but I'm gonna use the other gacha games as an example of, and many people have watched me for the past 2 years, right? So they can go back and watch any of those gacha games that I've actually stuck with and still play to this day. And see this in my face. Every single time I walk into a brand new world, I'm excited. I play for hours. I enjoy it. And it's not until I started realizing that a lot of these gacha games have the same formula that I started getting bored of them. And if you've noticed, I've slowed down on how many gachas I've shown on the other channel. And the reason for that is because I feel like it's the same shit, different day, pretty much shitting in the same toilet bowl. Like it's not
okay
fun to just show all these gacha games anymore. So there's few of them that stand out, and those are the ones that I put on my channel, whether they turn out enjoyable or not. Out of the entirety of last year, there's only a few of them that are actually exciting me now. And Arknights Endfield is probably like in the top 3. The top 3 being the top 3 being and actually I'm gonna say top 2, because Wuthering Waves is starting to worry me. The first one being Duet Night Abyss, Arknights Endfield, and Wuthering Waves. Those are top 3. Those aren't that isn't the end all be all list, right? But those are the top 3. Duet Night Abyss, because I am a massive Warframe fan.
Okay, that's fair.
I played that game for years of my life, and if they could manage to make that game feel different while still feeling familiar at the same time, add some new mechanics that make the Warframe formula fresh again, I'm gonna love that game. Arknights Endfield, we're discussing that today, and Wuthering Waves, I'm excited for the combat. I'm excited for the story. I'm worried about the day-to-day gameplay. I'm not gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because I can't really share that, but the gist of it is it feels like it has a bit of an identity crisis. And that's the most I'll say about Wuthering Waves. So any other explanation, I have to dive deeper. So
right.
Those are my top 3. And the whole reason why I'm putting this into perspective is because I don't really give a fuck about most of these other gacha games anymore, bro. I don't.
Holy shit, you're transitioning out of your element, bro.
Like if you I'm playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink on the other channel soon, a console game.
Okay.
I'm quite finished with the same shit, different day. I'm quite finished. So
Oh my
if a
goodness,
game
that's
doesn't
crazy.
have anything that's actually going to appeal to me, I'm not touching it. It's that simple. If it's the same mechanics but with a different skin, I'm not touching it. We already have Genshin. We already have Reverse 1999. We already have Arknights. We already have Arknights Endfield now. Now we have Weathering Waves coming out. It's time for these companies to do something different. It's time. So,
Okay, I like that perspective a lot.
So my next question, I don't know how many questions I've asked you already. My next question for you
Sure.
was gameplay mechanics, combat. How did you feel about the combat from the beginning, and how do you feel now? And you can tie that
Very
into
interesting question.
you can tie that into your feelings for the final boss too.
Okay, sure. I think very beginning, combat was maybe like a 3 out of 10, especially given that you only had like 1 or 2 characters at the very beginning. Okay,
Right.
So I think it's pretty obvious. I feel like it was very simple in nature. At the very end of the game, I think it's a solid 7 out of 10.
Woo, that's a shot up.
Yeah, no, it is a big shot up. I thought that, as you gear the characters up and as the bosses become a lot more variable, right? The bosses do a lot more, and you can't just like line everything up so easily. You actually have to read, how the enemies are moving and stuff.
You
I felt like
read?
the complexity.
You read something?
Yeah. We had to read, man. I actually.
We're making progress, guys. We're making
Yeah,
progress.
No, I put out a tweet yesterday. I was literally just like, yeah, this game actually made me read, like surprisingly, because I hate having to read instructions in a game. I just like to intuitively understand it. Like I'm always been like a more visual learner, just in general.
Same.
And yeah. So it's like, if someone can like show me how to do something, or I can see, for example, like I don't know, I like to say this example a lot, but when I played a lot of Valorant in the last 2 years, I played a ton of Valorant before I got into like super into gacha games. I would not like, no one reads stuff for Valorant, right? People like kind of watch how the pros play. Similar for stuff like League of Legends or Dota. People watch how the pros play to really like they don't like read into all of the stuff and like map out Excel sheets on like when to use stuff and like the abilities. Like, it's all kind of like visual learning, and that's kind of how I've learned to play video games growing up. And so with a game like this, unfortunately, I think there's just like a ton of reading. Like you just have to read the skills to know what they do,
Right.
or else you're just kind of running in blind, and you get the most basic experience, which is I don't think enough to like appreciate the game. Anyways, I'm going off track. The main point is, I think the combat got a lot more complex. It's not highly complex. The reason why it's a 7 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10 is because I still think it lacks something. But I think it makes sense. What they did, I very much like the Riven or I like to say the Diluc style gameplay where it's like you're kind of weaving a skill in and then doing an auto attack, weaving a skill and doing an auto attack. I think that is cool, but still in its current state, it lacks complete identity. But the combat is fun. It's fun time stopping. It's fun planning the skills. It's fun doing more than just throwing your skills out and it hits everything in a circle. It's fun dragging that like skill bar and like basically connecting the dots between enemies. That is fun, and I was surprised how much more I enjoyed it at the very end of the game and on the final boss versus at the very beginning.
A 3 to a 7.
Yeah. No, I think I'm going to defer in a lot of people's opinions, but I think the combat, if it came out in its current state, it's decent. People are going to complain about it. It's not enough, but I think if they released it right now, I would not, like, this would not be the first thing I complain about.
Right.
Yeah.
I said this to a few people. I feel like this is a great baseline. If the game released today, I don't think it would do too well. It would be a nice little hype period for the new for the Arknights fans, but with it being a tech test and there's still being a bunch of improvements that's going to be made. And I'm going to give a comparison. Once again, I have to use comparisons in order to make this like really sink in for people. Think back to the Wuthering Waves tech test, the CN exclusive tech test, and how different it looks today. How much the characters look different, the world looks different. And in a year's time, they managed to make that game look like it's so much more fleshed out. I feel like they know they still got a lot of work to do, and they just wanted people to know what this game was, because that's what all we've been asking for. What is this game? We've seen a nice flashy trailer. What is Endfield? We finally got an answer, and we got to play it. So now it's a matter of, can they make it something that is fun for a nice, decent chunk of players?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Did you struggle on the final boss? Be honest.
Oh, okay.
Don't make me. And if I feel like you're lying, I'm gonna go watch your VOD on stream.
Okay. I'll be fully honest. I went in first run with my full team, and I got destroyed.
Yep.
Okay. I was getting hit by everything. I was getting another time. It almost felt like it was impossible to dodge some of the things. I was like, what the heck? Like, that seems wrong. That seems unfair. And then what I did afterwards was, this sounds kind of out of it, but I was like, you know what? I've been playing this game so long to get to this boss because I know this boss looks amazing. I'm going to try to one character it. So I took Angelina in, and for the next hour and a half, I actually tried to solo Angelina, the boss.
You're nuts!
And dude, I got to phase 3. It was crazy.
You got to phase 3 with just Angelina.
I got to phase 3, and then it was hard because the thing about Angelina, obviously, is she has like a channeling skill, right? So you have to kind of get somewhere, and then you have to like channel for about 3 seconds, and you're immobile. Right?
Yeah.
So in phase 3, that was like impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, dude, it was so fun, and I think the reason why I wanted to do it is because, it showed me that this kind of gameplay can be very sought after. Like, people would love to do that kind of stuff. Limit test like one character against like a very hard boss that has no hit scan, and it's all like AoE abilities and like patterns. And after that, you know, I did it for about an hour and a half. I had something like later that night, so I had to kind of cut it short. I eventually took the rest of my team back in, and just kind of like first tried it after that. But
you pretty much
was like
learned everything with the one character move.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, it was fun though. I mean, as a gameplay guy, I fucking loved that, and it was just incredible to play it that way. And I really hope to do more of that.
I didn't even think of, you know what? You just motivated me to try a one character in this one. Because
you played PGR and Aether Gazer, man. Like, so you're very...
I'm trash at what? I'm trash at action games.
You're trash?
I'm trash at action games. What? Have you seen...
You played Relink.
But, okay, no. Okay. So, it's different because I've played Monster Hunter World. I've played Xenoblade Chronicles, right? The Relink feels more... I played PSO, Phantasy Star Online. Relink feels like a nice, beautiful mix of Monster Hunter and Phantasy Star Online, to me. I can play that, and eventually I'm going to be really good at that game. PGR feels like... I can't do rotations, bro. I can't do rotations. I can't. Me learning this is the way that you need to, like, these are the moves you need to do moving into the next move. That's gonna take me so long. My brain processes, and this isn't me downing myself. I process things much slower. I've already acknowledged this, and I'm fine with it. But when it comes to action-based, fast-paced action games, and there being rotations, no, can't do it. MMOs, absolutely. But PG, bro, skill issue for life. It's gonna be that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I respect the confession. I respect it. But I don't think you're that bad. I mean, I've seen you play PGR before. Like, it's not. It doesn't look like you're like.
Are you good at PGR? That's why you don't see it. That's why you don't see it. Anyone who's...
No, I was never really good at PGR, not gonna lie.
Anyone who's as bad as me or worse, hell, some people that are a little bit better than me will be like, okay, you're not that bad. But those players that, like, get it, oh, you're bro, do this. Okay. No, do this. You're doing it all wrong. Do this. And I see it.
Backseaters come out.
I don't look, as much as I don't like backseaters, I get it. They're trying to help, but it's not helping.
That's fair.
Right.
It would definitely not help for a game like that with like it's like all reaction based.
Right. But to drive this all in, the reason why I asked you a question about the combat is because I think I figured out what I feel is wrong with Enfield's combat.
Okay. I'm all ears.
One ability, one skill, basic attack. I feel like this isn't going to work. What I feel like would work is they kind of have to switch up the formula on how this works a little bit. Encourage character switching so that you can utilize their basic attack, their skill, and their ultimate when they're ready, instead of waiting for each one to be ready. For example, the Endministrator has 2 skills and an ultimate, but only one skill can be equipped at one time. What if the skill and the ultimate were available at all times? I'm not saying that there's no cooldown. There's definitely a cooldown, but instead of it all being constrained to, I think it's 1 when you use the skill. I'm clicking in. Yeah, it's 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Basically, you'll see your character, the character that you're currently using, you'll see their skill, their ultimate, and you'll be able to use basic attack. Maybe even give them 2 skills. And encourage the switching between each one of the characters so that you can use their ability instead of just having 4 abilities at the bottom. There's not enough diversity in the skills for it to actually be strategic. We're playing a waiting game. And while it works now in a technical test and it feels good, it's not going to feel good when we get to faster, more complicated bosses. They're going to have to do something very unique in order to keep the game from getting stale really quick. So what I'm thinking is have it so that we switch between the characters so that we can see their variety and skills. And when the ultimate is available, we'll be able to use that ultimate when we feel, instead of it being required to be used in order to go back to use the skill. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I see. So instead of like having everything visible at the very bottom, you have to switch to that character to see it, and then of course adding that extra skill and the ultimate as a bar,
right?
That you can use, and they're all different cooldowns, and the ultimate doesn't necessarily need to be charged by the skill. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Right.
Okay.
So there should be a cooldown for the ultimate in its own right. Even if they kept it so that you use skills in order to make the ultimate available, still I feel like there should be more for each character. Having more options allows for more complex gameplay down the road. If we all are only using one skill, one ultimate, and basic attack the entire time, eventually it will get stale. Right now we're okay with it, but it will get stale. The thing that I like about Arknights is because of the one skill, but it's a tower defense. You can't really take the tower defense formula to an action RPG and expect it to work long term.
Okay, I have some really big opinions about the combat as well, and like I want to see it a particular way. It's a little different from what you want. But I'll talk about it real quick, I guess.
Okay.
There's really 2 big things I want to see change within the combat, and it's not like I want I'm not saying like once this is done the combat's perfect, but I'm saying that I think this is like the correct direction I want to see it. The first point is very similar to yours, which is just more abilities. I think even if they don't do the switching, and even if they keep the charging up the ultimate using the skills, I want 2 skills on the screen. I think that'll be better. I really wished that we can have more variety, and every character skill doesn't have to be like a DPS skill. It can be like one can be more of like a supportish skill, and one of them can be more like an offensive skill or something. I think that would be better, because right now with only 4 buttons, yes, there's like a ton of downtime. You can create a rotation, right? Because you can kind of be like, you'll do the first skill, auto attack, position, second skill auto attack, and by the time you do your fourth skill, depending on how much at the position, your first skill might be coming back up again. So you can kind of do a rotation, but a lot of the times when you have like a full burst where like the boss is just standing still and you're using everything, even with the pursuit afterwards, you're still waiting for about 8 seconds after that, on average at least, right? So that's bad. That's like the really bad part.
Yes.
Which is, I think, like another set of skills on top of that. It might, it might overlap a little on the rotation, but like it'll still allow people to do something in that dead time. That's the first suggestion. It's kind of reaching there. I was thinking like, oh, imagine like the 5-star characters get 2 skills that you can use, and then the 6-star characters get 3 skills where you can choose 2 out of the 3 of them. I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into that end, but point being said, I think there should be more skills. And the second thing that I would love for them to create some identity around is the class system. So I'm sure you're aware that
there's
in this
only
test,
3.
They had 3. Yeah, there's only 3 classes. More like support class, and then 1 like caster and guard. I'm still a little confused on how they're differentiating it, but how I wish that they really, really hammered it in is all the guards do is do a ton of damage as well as activate the orbs. I wish that the casters generate those orbs while doing some damage, but they can't like activate the orbs. They can only generate the orbs. And then I wish the defenders and / support can just be like the defensive unit, right? Like either like a very tanky shield unit or like a healing unit or some combination of both. I wish they were a lot more distinctive about those roles so that each character can all play a very important role, right? Like yes, you can still go in with all 4 defenders or all 4 guards, but having that differentiation would be a lot. It would make sense, at least to me, a lot more. And I felt like they didn't do that with this test.
I think, and this is just based off of the experience of playing other games in their really early forms, of course. I think Tech Test is just a fancy name for alpha for the public. I played a lot of games in their alpha stages. And one thing I realize is a lot of this stuff is just straight up placeholder.
Oh.
So what I think is happening is there is no classes really. They have a class there. You're seeing a class, but they haven't really designated what those classes do.
Okay.
And for example, the defender is a healer in this fucking game. It doesn't really. Weird. Yeah. So I don't really think that they've kind of put everything into perspective just yet. The defender's used for this specific thing. The healer must be used for this specific thing. I don't think they've done that. I think they just have these classes there as placeholder. And someone told me, and anyone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, that early Arknights had the same issue.
Really?
Supposedly, and these aren't my words, supposedly they didn't have a variety of classes in early in like the beta stages of Arknights. So I don't know if this is true. I didn't see it. People are saying yes in the chat. So if that's the case, then I'm right. These it's just a placeholder.
Okay, I appreciate that then.
Yeah.
That's
so I think what they're trying to figure out is how to make the class system that they have. Beta Arknights have 8 classes. What?
Oh, did it? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. What I think they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out how to bring over the class system from the tower defense game and make it work in a game that's more action oriented, right? And only Vanguard was missing in the beta from what they were saying. Someone else is saying Vanguard and Vanguard was basically a guard. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I think they're trying to figure out what to make work. And the reason why I told you I wanted the combat system to work the way that I said was based off of what you told me the other day. You wanted raids. You wanted co-op content. You wanted stuff to do with other people. This current system wouldn't work with that. You have 4 people, each one with 1 skill, with one ultimate, and a basic attack, and it required charging.
Okay.
If we had 4 people in a party, and you only had 1 character,
yeah,
and all you could do, bro, yeah, you only had 1 character, and you had your basic attack. You were attacking until your skill was available, and then you used your skill. Wait again to use your skill again until you do that 4 or 5 times so you can use your ultimate. That's boring as shit.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to, if they manage to think about this stuff, right? Maybe co-op raids. I think they're already thinking about co-op base building from what some Chinese players were saying. I think what would work is giving them various skills so that you have less downtime. So that you can run an independent character and the other 3 players can have their own independent character, and it doesn't feel like you need other characters in your party for it to work because you have 3 skills and an ultimate, and you could run in there, unga boonga, play it the way that you need to play in order to get the damage off, play the mechanics of the. I could see a whole. Oh my god, the jumping mechanics of the final boss, like how you had to jump the waves that were coming from the boss, like a lot of stuff like that into like a dungeon / raid boss fight would be so sick, dude. You just need to have the foundation for the combat to be much more fleshed out, and I feel like it's not there yet.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I've mentioned this to you before, but I mean, as bad as it sounds, I really want this game to take inspiration from like what MMOs are doing, because I think the ways that
Final Fantasy 14
MMOs create. Yeah, like I'm a huge Final Fantasy 14 junkie. I've been playing like the hardest raid tiers in that game, and the amount of creativity that I realized a game like that has is something that I just haven't seen in most other games, and especially in gacha. Like I think it can cater to such like a great audience. Like Arknights players, they love spending so much time min-maxing. They love being optimizers in a way. Like they want their gameplay to be as fluid and as precise as possible. I just feel like those players would be really enticed to fight a very challenging boss that is less about just you spending money or like getting that relic set to do a lot of damage, and more about actually knowing what the boss does. That's why like yesterday when I was playing the final boss, at first, I actually tried a no healing run, just like no consumables, nothing, dodge all the skills. You know, I think that would be sick if they can create a mode where they limit, like, you know how they have like that rift where you can't use consumables?
Yeah.
Like they can easily create a boss raid where if you defeat it without like no consumables, only like party healing, very very like limited gears that you can use for that, like maybe it sinks you down. I mentioned this a few times. I think, and then giving like a medal set for doing that, I think it'll be very fun because then you can go in with your friends, you can help them to clear the raid. I don't know. This is very much borrowing from what MMORPGs already have right now.
Yeah.
But I just think that the game right now, the reason why, like, I can't say that when I see a game like Honkai Star Rail. I can't say that when I see a game even like Genshin, because the way that the elemental system works and like the way that they have the relics and everything, it's very pay to win in a way, because like all the characters get so much stronger with the potentials. I just feel like they can't do that. But like what we've seen right here with the tab targeting, both hit scan and like AoEs, like the way the game is set up and with the foundation we have right now, I just think that it's actually possible for us to see a lot more MMO elements that are not possible in games like Wuthering Waves and Genshin.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely things that they could do to make it make the combat more MMO-esque without turning it into an MMO. I don't think this would be a good MMO. It would definitely need a solid, a much simpler foundation for harder mechanics, if that makes sense. The gameplay itself, the combat itself would have to have a simple understanding so that you could go in and do complicated shit against boss. Does that make sense? Because that's pretty much what Final Fantasy 14 is. Everyone understands what each one of the skills do. Each one, that you need to go in and use your basic attack, then run a rotation in Final Fantasy 14, right? It's simple to do, but then when you got boss mechanics, you need to work with your team in order to be on a specific part of the map and then dodge specific things that are incoming from a boss, and all of you got to do this or you're gonna get wiped. Like that stuff it makes the game complex despite the combat being relatively simple. So, yeah, I do agree that they could definitely do that in Arknights Endfield. They could make it, add more depth to it, keep it simple, so that they can add more complex boss fights. That would be sick.
I agree with that, but for some reason
I've never
because
played.
this is
By
a-
the way, I'm
go
basing
ahead.
that off of a normal raid. By the way, because I've never done the ultimate raids that you guys do. You're insane. I don't know how you guys do that shit. But yo, more power to
the
you.
best way I've ever heard it. So in a very challenging MMO, like I'm referencing both Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft because both of them have very difficult raids. Like I think in World of Warcraft it's called Mythic Tier or something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
I've never seen a World of Warcraft raid. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh yeah, heard those raids are really fun as well, and very well designed.
Okay.
Anyways, there's like the way I see it is there's always two factors that go into the raid that make it very I'm not gonna say fun. I'm gonna say more rewarding. And it's number one, it's the difficulty of the boss mechanics. So like, for example, in the final boss that we saw in this game, we saw like all different types of movesets. There's different phases, so that people are like, oh, I made it to phase 1. Oh, I made it to phase 2 and this mechanic. I died to this mechanic, and like people can reference that and be like, holy shit, like the boss has a lot of complexity. So that's the first part. And obviously, what we saw in this game in Arknights Endfield is like a 1 out of 10 difficulty in Final Fantasy 14.
Oh,
a 10 out of 10
shit.
difficulty would have like, it would be much more harder. And like, what also makes that game very fun that we do not see in this game at all is not only do you have to do the mechanic, the 3 other people in your team have to resolve the mechanic in a very unique way. Otherwise, if even one person is wrong, everyone dies. You know, so that's what makes it very rewarding because it's like you are relying on other people to also do their job. And that's the first part, right? So it's very complex boss mechanics, which this game already has a very good foundation for. Like it's there in its most like vanilla form. It's there. And then the second piece that makes boss raiding very fun is the complexity of the rotation. And that's what you're talking about. That's like having a lot of buttons. We cannot compare this to like a World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. Because Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft, each player has like 30 skills sometimes. So like it's like you literally cannot compare, right? But
this is not an MMO, right? So this isn't gonna have
an MMO. And that's fair, you know. But in my mind, like how I am justifying this right now is that even if we don't have both pieces of the formula, I still think that if they weigh in on one piece of the formula enough, it'll be enough to make the experience relatively decent for most players. So in my mind right now, a lot of people are thinking about the combat. Like the combat feels weird, the elemental system's weird, we only have one skill.
Right.
But in my mind, it's like, okay, if they settle on this combat, and then if they put all their resources into making bosses that have like very unique mechanics, and like right now, I'll be honest, like the bosses right now, even the final boss is very simple. It's all like line AoEs and circle AoEs.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, like there's a lot of mechanics out there in the world in these different games. If they just weigh in on that and make it very complex between boss to boss, and it's like not just line AoEs and AoE, then I think I'll be content. At least that's my perspective, if you can follow.
I understand. I'm saying what I'm saying is that I don't see it. Like I get it. I get what they're going for, but I don't see the long term. I see the short term. The short term looks great. The long term, I'm kind of concerned about. But
I'm concerned.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is one of those situations where I'm kind of calling their bluff. Like, I want to see if they really do understand this system. They understand what they're doing with the four abilities for each different character, and you have to build up with a basic attack and a skill. And they have something in mind that they know is going to work. I want them to prove it, basically.
Yeah.
And
I want to see it in the next CBT.
Right.
I need to see it.
I need them to show me what they're seeing because I don't see it. I don't understand how the 4 skills are going to be complex later on. I don't see how if there's co-op, how that's going to work. If there's raids, I don't know how other players are going to. You see, like I don't see the vision. I see the potential. I got a hint of how complex it can be with the boss fight, but I also see limitations to that. So
right.
Yeah, I'm calling their bluff. I want them to literally show me, because they showed me already with this. Because at the very beginning, like we've all were like, okay, this is cool, but you know, Where's this going?
Yeah.
And they definitely need to brush up on the story. Holy shit. Like, the story is not bad, but it's slow.
Oh, really?
It's slow.
Oh, is it slow?
It's slow.
Oh, just like Arknights? Oh,
like,
no.
I almost want to, like, okay. Arknights is justifiably slow because it is a visual novel that goes straight into combat. Your base, your tower defense combat, right? You know exactly what you're getting into when you're playing the game. But this is a open zone action RPG. People are going to pick people. I see everyone who's complaining, and I'm like, I see why they're complaining. I can't be mad because I understand that if you're coming from Genshin Impact, where things are so much faster with elemental reactions and stuff, you're like, what the fuck is this? If you're playing PGR and you're coming to this, you're like, it's too slow for me. If you're playing Wuthering Waves or you've played Wuthering Waves, you're gonna say the same thing as PGR, but you're gonna be like, this is easier than Wuthering Waves. Until you get to the final boss, then you might have a little bit of a challenge, but you're gonna pick up on it pretty quickly. I feel that while this has a lot of potential, this is a great baseline, but the story needs to have a what is a good word? There needs to be a perk that pulls people in. I can't think of the word that I used it earlier, but it needs something to draw people in. And with how slow it is, it's only going to draw in the Arknights players that knows what to hook. Thank you, Soul. It needs a hook. And there's no hook unless you're an Arknights player. We know what to expect. We know this depressing story that's going to have some high points, and then it's going to get back to depresso. We know this. And we know that the story is going to get really good with the events. But the players that don't know this stuff, they're going to put it down. So,
strangely, I don't know if I'm being stubborn, but I almost feel like story is the last thing they will be like drastically changing, at least for the first 5 chapters. I don't know. Do you think so?
I think it's already been fixed.
You think the story's been fixed?
I think the story's already been fixed. And what I mean by that is, anyone who's watched me play Honkai Star Rail's first beta, and then how different the second beta was compared to that first one in terms of the story, I think the script is already done. I think they've already made another build that will probably be much more refined than this, and I think they're aware of the issue. But I think we're getting the shit version of that. And that's how they all start. They all start with a shit version of what we get. So I think they've already fixed it. I just don't. I'm just obviously giving the criticism that it is too slow, so that if they happen to ever see this, they're like, okay, yeah, we were right. It's too slow. So they get right back on it. I need a hook. I definitely need a hook. The story's great, but I need a hook.
So I know you're like really into the lore, but like, if you really wanted them to focus on just a few things and develop the rest of the game, like what do you kind of want out of this game that you plan to play for like many months? Like what do you really want out of Endfield when it fully launches? Like what's your priority?
That is a great question, and I'm start off by saying we just found out what the game is. So, with that being like the basis of what I'm about to say, with me just figuring out what the game is, how many months ago did I play the beta? Like 1 month, 2 months ago?
Yeah, like 2 months, yeah.
What I want a compelling story, something that will have me. There's stories that have made me cry. There's stories that have made me feel for characters. There's stuff that makes me want to explore the world. I want that out of its story. In terms of gameplay, I want a world that makes me want to explore every nook and cranny of it. I want you guys to have enough secrets in this small open zone area for us to be figuring stuff out months or years into this. Even if they patch something new in later. In terms of combat, I want something that is simple to understand, but can get really difficult based off of the mechanics the enemies present. What I want is a product that has enough challenge and enough challenge in terms of gameplay and enough beauty in the lore that it's undeniable that this is a great game. It's very open, what I just said, but that's not what this game is yet. But I see it. I see it. And that's why I'm so, like, when you see me talk about the game, I'm so excited. I see it. It can be that.
Right.
It's just not there yet.
I feel the same exact way, except I think I'm a lot more skeptical about a lot of the other features that you may care about that I don't think I give too much value to. So, like, for example, the story, I could not give less of a care.
I said that before you even came into the...
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of things in this game that are like, oh, okay, I've seen this before. Like the other exploration features, such as like opening chests, gathering stuff in the open world. Like, we're pretty much used to that, and they're gonna exist in any open world. Like, I'm not gonna see myself being very addicted to revisiting like old areas and like exploring in a zone that has such limited things to do. So like for me, the game's gonna come out. The first 20-30 hours are gonna be fun again. I'm sure they're gonna add a lot of depth. The world is probably gonna like have a super big glow up, similar to what we see with Wuthering Waves. I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
But again, what worries me is like, okay, we're playing this game for 20-30 hours. Once we reach like maybe like the 50-60 hour mark and we get to end game and it becomes just like mass optimization of the base and like crafting the best gears, I better have something to do then. And I think for me, if there's just one thing I need in a game like this, because everything they've shown us is a good foundation, but the foundation leads up to essentially building your characters to become very strong. And if you're going to build your character very strong, like any other game, I will say the same thing for Wuthering Waves. I still say the same thing for Genshin. If you're going to build your character that strong, if you're going to spend every single day grinding to like increase the substats, there better be something good to use it on. And I think Endfield has already shown us they can make difficult bosses, punishing bosses, and I need a repeatable raid boss mode. Like, I need like a menu they can just open up and you can just go into the simulation and fight them over and over again. And there should be base rewards for clearing it on the normal difficulty that everyone, like 80-90% of people with like brain dead reaction can still do. But then there needs to be like difficulty that is really hard, that does not allow you to have consumables, that sinks all your like super OP gears and potentials down to a line, and then you get like a trim medal for it. I need that mode because I think that will provide
you want a contingency contract.
Yeah, exactly. A permanent contingency contract mode instead of like the stupid 2-week abyss, all right? They can just like cycle in new bosses, and their main development cycle should be like, how can we make endgame content just very, very fun and repeatable? It can't just be, okay, we're gonna release like a login event every other week, or we're gonna release like a grinding event every other week. We fight like the same boss in the same instance over and over again. Instead of putting your sanity into like this rift, you just like spam it into like the event rift over and over and over again to farm just like the shop. No, please not again. Like, they need to add more depth, and if they're gonna take this big risk to make like a Genshin-like product that has some kind of inspiration and like some innovation over it, it needs to be special, and they need to capitalize on what they have. At least that's my perspective. They need repeatable end game raids.
I honestly think that they could definitely do that, but it would be like, and the reason why I said contingency contract, because I can see them like, I can see you going for a boss fight. You're playing the story version of the boss.
Yeah.
And then they have after fighting that final boss, they open up contingency contract. That's what we're gonna call it for the sake of this, right? Sure. And there's risks that are added on top of it.
Okay.
And for each risk, it adds it would take something away from you and add something to the boss. And then there your goal for the end of the season, which is the end of the patch, would be to get max risk.
Yeah, and then you get like a medal for it or something.
Right.
And like only like 1-2% can do it, but like I'm fetching for copium right now, but like, if like you can do it in co-op mode and your friends can come in and try to like help you get that like super high like risk, like max risk essentially. Imagine like you're struggling so much and then you just like go to the community, it's like, hey guys, I need a carry, can you please carry me? And then 3 like giga chads come in and they like master the mechanics, they know everything, they know that
You want me
the
to-
best movement.
I'm
Dude.
gonna add on top of that. It'll be funny if they had that medal since you did it with co-op. They're like, with co-op, so you still have something to shoot for by doing it solo. That would be fantastic.
That would be funny.
And
like,
there's also a
that'd be
base
awesome.
mode. There's also a base mode that I mentioned to my my viewers when I was playing the beta. Humor me this, but hear the whole thing out before you say anything, because this is
Sure.
this the very beginning of what I'm gonna say. You're immediately gonna think no.
Okay, all right, sure. I'll try to think.
Okay, PvP. Now, hear me out. I don't mean PvP with your characters. I don't mean PvP with gacha. This will have no gacha at all. All right? This is base to base PvP. You build up your base, right? And right now there's no penalty for you building up your base. You build up your base and you're done with it. You build up your base, you farm your stuff, you get your stuff done, right? But the difference here is you also have to place defenses. And when you place all these defenses up on your base, when you log off for the day, of course they're going to have measures to make sure if people decide to stay in their base after they're done for the day, there are things that can still happen to kick you off. But you place up your defenses on your base, and other players will also be able to raid that area and destroy your base. Now, these units that will come in will be the NPCs that you see on the field, like in the world. You're recruiting those NPCs to come and do this in your game. And the only way that this PvP will even work is you have to reach a certain point in the game. And by then, every player will have the same stuff unlocked, will have the same opportunities to defend and deal damage to other bases. But every single time that a season ends, certain things on your base change, and you can't use certain weaponry, you can't use certain characters, you can't use certain things. So there's an ever-changing meta.
Okay.
So there's no gacha. There's no, hey, I got a gacha character that other people have, so that's not fair. It is just the base building aspect.
Okay. But what if there's a rank system on top of that, and there's like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond? And
I would say just a leaderboard is fine. I would say a leaderboard is fine, because if you lock rewards behind tiers, players are going to be furious. So
sure.
I think a leaderboard is fine with no rewards. It's just a fun shit to do. Maybe you get extra resources for building your characters, but you get no currency. You get no. It is just a, hey, we have PvP in our game, and it changes. And here's the thing where you can go fuck up someone else's base and enjoy this PvP mode. It's not meant to be something where you get like extra currency or anything like that. It is just a fun thing to do.
Sure, I'll cope with that idea. Like
I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm
proposing.
I'm proposing the idea to get what you think.
I see. Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair. Well, it's a good idea, and you know what? Like, it just adds more things to do after you're done. Because the worst thing you can do in a game like this, where you walk around and stuff, is you finish the main story, you finish the event quests, and then there's nothing to do other than wait for your sanity. I think that would be the worst thing you can do.
Oh, I missed one
for
part.
a game.
And you're gonna have to rebuild your base after the fact, because they just destroyed all your fucking shit that was building up resources.
Oh, so you're talking about like the base, like their own. I was thinking like a maybe like a digital area that you build on top of. It's kind of like
no.
in like more of the.
There's a penalty. Once you opt in to do this thing, we're taking your fucking we're taking your base in for sacrifice.
Bro. Okay, that would upset the casual players for sure.
That's why you gotta opt in.
Bro.
That's why you gotta opt in.
We'll see. If they have any sort of PvP, which I highly doubt. We'll see.
It isn't something that every player has to be a part of. You just simply go in. Once you opt in, it's like a little form that pops up on the fucking screen. And it's like, once you go into this, for the entire season, this can happen. And you will have to rebuild your base. Probably more than once.
Okay. I'm sure the hardcore players would love doing anything, honestly.
Yeah, and it would only be for the people who opt in. So the people who don't want to do this shit, they don't got to do it. They don't even have to worry about it. But the people who do,
okay,
you're in for a whole season until that patch ends.
Okay, well, we'll let the idea cook. I don't know why that reminded me. What do you think about guilds?
I don't know how guilds would work. How do you
I'll
have an idea?
Yeah, I have an idea. Have you played Nikke before? Have you played Aether Gaze? You played those games, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know if this will make sense.
Hold on, let me say this because the chat's already coming up with a way around it. I mentioned earlier.
Go ahead.
I mentioned earlier that they would kick you off for for staying on the game. So that permalogin shit wouldn't work. Just saying. Bye, base.
Oh my god. I think out of all the ideas, just to be blunt, I think this is the most copium. The PvP. I don't.
Oh,
know
it's not copium. I don't think it's gonna happen. But it's
it's just theory crafting.
It would be cool for those who want something like that from the game. If the player doesn't want it, they don't have to do it. They don't even have to be a part of it. But they can watch other players who do want to be a part of it and want to share it. Those streamers, those players, logging in, pissed the fuck off because their base has been destroyed. And even if they log in, there's nothing they can do but watch the base get fucking shattered to nothing. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's another entertaining
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, idea for guilds, very simple, okay? Because they can make it as complex as they want. Sure, they can. Like, I was seeing some people were talking like, oh my god, like they should have like a guild hall where players can queue up for like these massive dungeons and raids. But I was just thinking something very simple. Like, it can just be a screen, okay? You can join someone's guild like any other. It could just be you join a guild, you apply. Each guild can have like a player cap, and then all you do every single week in the guild is you just have like this meter, like this kind of like quest meter, and essentially it can just be like a raid boss each week for 7 days. There's a raid boss. You just fight it. Every single time you fight it and you defeat it, you just knock off a little of the HP, like the total HP bar, and then once that bar reaches 0, you get the rewards for a tier. Like, it's just very simple stuff.
Just like Aether Gazer, yeah. Just like
Aether Gazer, yeah. It doesn't have to be anything complex, but just like a system like that. What do you think?
I think that would be fine. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Wait, hold on. You're not playing with other players, are you? Because that would be fire if you are.
Oh, I mean, that'd be cool if you can, but I want to give like the lowest hanging fruit possible to them. Like,
right.
Like, I want it to exist, and I don't want to be like, hey, you need this, this, and this, and this, right? Because I can pitch as many ideas as you can do in guilds, right? But like, I just want to see the bare bones. Like, this is like the easiest thing you can do because it doesn't require you to like create that many new elements of the game. You don't have to create like these special zones where like people to queue up. You just simply create some performance metrics in a way. Like, I was also thinking like it doesn't have to be a raid boss either. It can be also just like quest related, where like if you complete your daily each day, you fill up the bar for the quest. So like you can do like the dailies can be like I don't know, just like crafting this material in your base or like outputting this gear or something, and then it just like raises the bar a little, and then once that bar reaches a certain point, everyone unlocks the new tier of rewards, or you get like a certain number of currency, like guild currency, and you just buy out like LMD and stuff per week. Just something simple like that would be cool.
I think that would, I don't even think that's too far fetched.
Yeah, man. Like,
yeah, I don't even think that's too far fetched. I think that would. Yeah, that could work 100%. That's easy. Other games are already doing it, so yeah.
Yeah,
they
Nikke does it really well. Like,
so what do they call them in Nikke? Union raids?
Union raids, yeah. And then it's in PGR and Aether as well, right? Like
Aether Gazer does it. PGR.
Yeah, PGR does it as well. It's just like
does PGR do it?
Yeah, it's they have like a special thing where it's like there's like 6 different circles around like a center circle, and once you kill the circles around it, it unlocks the boss in the center, and it's like any of their bosses essentially. It's like a very simple.
Are you
it's like
talking?
A guild boss,
I'm thinking punishing. Pain cage. Are you?
No, not Pain Cage. It's like a specific guild boss.
I'll look it up
many times.
I'll look it up later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember that, but yeah.
No worries. Yeah, it's very similar to Aether Gazer, honestly.
Yeah.
They're a little different, but it's fairly similar.
Okay, so I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the connection to Arknights? I know you don't read story, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of players that are that want to see characters from the previous game. Now I know they've already shown something. I want to make sure I say this in this. They shown something in the game that they removed, showing how far into the future this was. But me knowing how development works, they could still be playing with the idea of where this is in the timeline, despite them having that in there. So, What do you think of the possibility of characters that we've seen in the previous game making an appearance here? Or characters that are fairly similar to the characters, like we have the Angelina character.
Right.
What is your thought on making this a game where we see familiar characters and having lore behind them?
I'm gonna upset people by saying this.
I know what you're gonna say, I think.
And like, I know some people get very. Some people are very like, oh, I want to see them be more original. I want to see like new characters. I don't want to just play like an old character. Blah 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 blah. But I 100% am fine if they just ported like half the freaking roster. Fuck it, dude. Port the entire roster over. I would rather people get excited over their operators from Arknights, have their Arknights fandom come like, oh my god, there's a suitor in the game. I'm gonna play this game now. Like, I would rather them do that than the few people that are just like, oh my god, originality, fuck. Like it's not original. You're just doing the lazy path Hypergryph. You're just porting. Like, I would, you know what? Port over half the roster. I will play. I will still play the game.
That's not what I expected you to say.
Oh, you didn't expect that?
No, I expected I don't want that in here.
Dude, port over everything. Honestly, I don't care anymore. I actually really enjoyed playing Angelina in this build, by the way. Like, I actually really like it. It's very familiar to me. I think her outfit is amazing.
Wow.
I like her skill set. It like kind of reminds me. There's like active healing. I'm like, oh wow, like that was like in Arknights, right? You can kind of get the reference a bit. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I'm gonna be honest. There's a part of me. Of course, we know. Okay, so I don't know how much of the story you know, because I know you don't read the story. But the characters are infected with something that will ultimately kill them.
Oh really?
Yes.
Isn't that the story in Arknights?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're porting stuff from Arknights, right? So I don't know how they would do it, but I would love to see a grown Amiya. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
I would love to see a grown-up Amiya after. I'm not going to spoil the game for people who haven't reached a specific chapter, but there's a specific event that we know is eventually going to come to pass, right? And I would love to see her growth in that. And see that character and maybe even time it with the event that's happening in the original Arknights. So when they drop this character, we get the lore behind how she became this in the original game.
Okay.
So
I could see.
I would love that.
Crazy over that.
Yeah, because I would when they had shown Angelina there just for that quick second in the trailer. That's all we heard about for like the next week.
Yeah.
Angelina's in the game. How is Angelina in the game? It couldn't be Angelina. It's definitely Angelina. Like it that's all we heard for like a week. So me thinking about what they could do with like a Amiya, with a Surtur, with just having these characters in the game somehow they're still alive.
Bro, that would be such a cash cow. I'm just telling you right now, people would buy into that so hard.
I would. It,
I would, yeah, I would.
it doesn't have to be
honestly,
the entire roster, right? It doesn't have to be the entire roster, but they haven't even shown how Seaborn is going to be in this fucking game.
Okay.
Like, I want that. But at the same time, if they don't do it, I understand how or why they didn't do it. It's just, I've seen people talking about it, and I was wondering what your thoughts were on it. But you completely surprised me with that.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I think for me right now, like I'm starting to realize that like maybe I had that opinion like a month ago where it's like, okay, I want them to be original. Like I don't want to see them just bring back characters because then it's kind of like, oh, you're pandering to the Arknights players, blah blah blah. But then the more and more I thought about it, I realized that like it's not that bad. Like if they just brought those characters over, it really just incites more people to try out the game because they love those familiar characters. Like, sure, some of the new people that come in that don't play Arknights are gonna be like, oh, why is everyone so excited about this, right? But in a way, they're not gonna be like, oh wow, fuck this character. Like, you're trying to incite like the old players come back in and that doesn't care. Like, they're not gonna think that. They're gonna be like, oh, now I'm interested in seeing like, why are so many people excited about this character in the original game? Like, it's not going to make me turn away from the game. So it's like, okay, if that's not going to turn people away, why not invite it? Like why not just say, sure, Hypergryph. If you really want to, if you need the money, or if you just want to like, I don't know, be lazy or something and just like take older assets and just reuse them, I'm not against that.
I think I'm on the same page with you on that one because I'm just saying. The one thing that made it so hard for me to get into this, and everyone knows this story, the community is why I'm playing this game. I hated on Arknights for the longest time, dude. It was I was so mad at how they would take such great art and turn them into chibi characters. I was like, this is lazy, man. They could have made a full 3D and everything would have been dope. And it wasn't till, and this is the only community that's done this. Kindly come into my chat. We just want you to give it one more try. If you don't like it, we won't say another word. But we want you to actually give it a try. Okay, bet. And we want you to try it for this event. Okay, I'll wait till that event. Tell me when it's coming. That's exactly what they did. I'm here now. So, like, I say that to say this. Them keeping that attachment that pulled me in through lore, characters like W that I would love to see in 3D, Amiya, Cultsit. I would love to see these characters and the same voice actors reprise their role for this game. And it would be fantastic, man. Fantastic.
Yeah, dude, the more thing about it, I think it'd actually be very fitting. Like, why not? It would definitely excite people to turn their eyes and be like, oh, this character now has a piece of the lore in Enfield. I want to learn more about them, especially if they're interested in that character.
And I even have an idea for how they would fill in the players who don't play Arknights. Like, they could easily make like rewind stories in the game where they kind of just like give you a synopsis through an animation or something of what happened for that character, so that you could build that same attachment for the character. And it's like, you don't have to play Arknights to understand why people like this character. Here's why they like this character. Here's the thing that made people fall in love with this character, the story that made them fall in love with this character. They already do animations, right? Just make a nice 1 minute, 2 minute animation, 4 minute animation for that character when they drop, showing why people love them. And then we learn everything else through the story.
Dude, no, 100%. I think that would actually be a good way of connecting the newer players to the older IP. So, yeah, I mean, I agree, man. Like, I have nothing wrong with them porting characters. My doubts about that have really been quelled. Like, I really have nothing left to say about that other than, like, I just need the game to give me like the bare minimum hope that they're gonna add co-op and that they're gonna add repeatable raids. Like, that really is like my top 2 priorities. Yeah,
I'm optimistic. While I have some doubts, I'm more optimistic than doubtful. Just this test was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan. I agree.
Yeah, this could be as a baseline, as a tech test, it couldn't be much better. But I'm gonna say it just like I said this before. It's good because it's a tech test. I want to make sure that's very clear. It's good because it's a tech test. If this was the final product, I would be very disappointed.
100%, yeah.
So, I think now's the time that we now understand what the game is. You're not going to hear another thing from me until the next test. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm not going to make any videos. Hey, where's the game? Well, what are you guys working on? You guys are too quiet. You're not going to see any of that. I now have faith. So now I know you guys are capable. I'm going to just let you cook. I'm going to let you do your thing. And the moment that they drop some shit, I'm there. I'm there.
God damn, dude, you're sold, dude.
Yeah, I'm 100% sold. But the thing is this happened with Tower Fantasy 2. I was very excited for the game, and then they announced that they were releasing it. And when they announced that they were releasing it, I saw immediately the game just shatter. It was no longer good to me because it was still showing very early shit, and it wasn't ready to be released. I don't want them to do that here. I want them to take their time. I want them to make this game as quality as they possibly can. They already did all of this. It would be a shame if they just let this go to die. And it's going to be on PlayStation 5 too?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be on console. Like, dude, they have to make this game a success. Like, bro,
Yeah.
at this point, they're so ambitious. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, dude. We just let them cook. I have a lot of hope. Like, if this was a random studio, like, I would say, okay, I just want to call it, if this was Naked Rain, for Mugen, and it's just like out of nowhere, I've heard nothing about Naked Rain before, and they're like trying to make this grand thing happen, I'd be skeptical. But this is Hypergryph. We've seen they've had a big success in the past. Like, I am willing to put my faith in them.
Yeah.
In Lowlight to make this happen.
Lowlight's the guy behind the original Arknights, right? I don't know the lore behind that.
It's like the lead producer, I think.
Okay. And he's the lead producer of this one?
Guy. I don't want to say for sure, but I am pretty sure he like manages both projects. But I don't know. That's what I've heard.
Okay. Well, Lowlight. That's new information for me. So, yeah, thank you.
Lowlight. That's the man.
All right. So,
all right.
Viper, thank you so much for coming to the channel. And, dude, I wanted to start off with you specifically because of the podcast that we did before and how open-minded you are with shit. So I thank you for coming through and supporting the content once again, because I don't think we've had 100 and something people here this entire time, and I think having you on sets a nice has a nice foundation of to start this conversation, because you're pretty popular, dude. And I'm not saying that to gas you up. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it to gas you up.
Bigger channel than me, dude. What do you mean?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Having higher subscriber count doesn't equate to higher popularity.
Okay.
You are a very popular creator. Your name pops up a lot when I'm playing Arknights. Scamper, like they got a fucking name for you. Like that's so cool. So
I'm not sure if I'm proud of that one. I'm gonna be real.
Hey, I think it's just all in fun because they laugh about it in my chat. So yeah, guys, if you don't know who Viper is, if you don't know this Boom Kaka, please support his channel. Did I put the wrong link? I put my own link in the shit. Oh my god. Please. Do. There you go. Please support his channel. Subscribe. Thank you, Viper, for coming through. I'll hit you up very soon, brother. It's all love, bro.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much as well. It's always super cool talking to you. I feel like you're a lot more knowledgeable than a lot of creators in general. And I think that's because of how much experience you have in this space. And I love conversations like this. So I'll be seeing you, man. I'll be seeing you in the next test or whatever happens in the next few months. I'm very excited, man, and we'll continue talking then.
Are you going to any events this year?
Yeah, I'll be at AX. That'll be the biggest one.
Anime
and
Expo?
then a lot of smaller. Yep.
Okay, we'll see if I can coordinate something.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, bro.
And you know what? My bet is, I bet Enfield's gonna have a booth at AMA.
Oh
Expo.
man, if that happens, I'm there.
It's their year, man.
I'm not kidding.
It's their year.
If that happens, I'm there.
Dude, they gotta, man. They gotta. If they're not there, I'm kind of shocked. But like, they started the marketing, man. Like they're on top of it now. So I'm hoping they show up.
Yeah, because I mean, like that would be so cool to just go through and meet everyone who's excited for it, bro. Like, dude.
Yeah. It would be sick.
People get their hands on the game too. Just having, even if it's the same.
Just like try it out.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
All right, man. You have a good night.
All right. You have a good night, man. I'll see you.
Peace. Once again, guys, Viper, please support his channel. That was a nice, wonderful discussion. I feel like we managed to hit all the points on the head that we wanted to. And I appreciate everyone who was here supporting this. Will I do more tech test discussions? I'm not sure if it's going to be specifically for the tech test. I do have another content creator that I want to talk to about it, but I don't know if he's had time to play. So I'm going to wait and find out. I also wanted to talk to Spider2B. Spider2B just recently completed it. I haven't proposed it to him just yet, but we'll see. I'm going to get as many people in here as possible, and we'll see what happens. It's all about making sure that these people have completed enough of the content to have this discussion. Because I've already completed it. I may not be done with the global test, but I already played it. I've completed everything in this test. I'm just chilling now. That's why I'm doing this so slowly. I've already completed everything. Kaio? That would be fantastic to get Kaio. Spider2B, yes. He plays, he's a PGR creator, and he's planning on doing Wuthering Waves. So having his perspective is actually very valuable. That's why I want to talk to him. So, all right, guys. We're going to end it here. I was going to play a little bit of this, but I didn't realize me and him were going to talk for an hour and 30 minutes. So, yeah. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll stream this tomorrow, most likely, so we can finish the test off. Love you guys. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Like the stream. Share it with anyone else who might find this enjoyable to watch. And I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful day. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Stay chaotic. Love you guys. Peace out.